Welcome to Timsy's Flicks. I'm Timsy, and today I'm joined by my good mate Adam over here, who's going to help me review the new film Deadpool 2, because it often feels bigger when you're reviewing movies with your mates, I think.
Even when they're small like me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Still feels bigger. Yeah, so
strap in, we're going to have a good time.
But don't use a strap on. Nah.
Okay.
It's not that sort of review.
It's not?
Yeah. Didn't you read the contract?
Am I getting paid?
Deadpool 2 stars Ryan Reynolds, Josh Brolin, Gillian Dennison, and is directed by David Litch. The Merc with the Mouth, aka Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, aka Ryan Reynolds, is back. And this time he's protecting a young boy played by Gillian Dennison, who's not Pyro in the film. And he's protecting him from Thanos, who's back from the future after defeating those pesky Avengers in the last film with his amazing Infinity Stones, and he's trying to take out the boy. And to stop him, the Merc with the Mouth Deadpool has to assemble a brand new team known as the X-Men.
X-Force.
X-Force?
Yeah.
It's X-Force. Yeah. It's very derivative, isn't it?
A little bit.
That first film was amazing, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah.
It was a breakout hit. Nobody in sort of probably the general audience expected it to do as well as it did. And they make reference to it in the film. It outgrossed every superhero film so far.
Absolutely, and it was really a game changer because it was one of the first superhero films that was rated R that was to do so well.
Yep.
And those suits definitely caught wind of that, and it's like, ooh, here's a thing.
Gave us Logan, so
absolutely,
it's kind of like a double shot.
Yeah.
Thanks, DP.
And I got to say, like after that first film, I was really looking forward to the second one after it was shortly announced thereafter. But shortly after that, Tim Miller actually left the project. Yeah, and my anticipation for this film really dropped after that because really that first film, it was Tim and Ryan coming together.
You always have to pause, take a look at things once directors leave projects. It does happen all the time, but it's one of those things where you're like, okay, what's the story?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe the story was the story. Deadpool 1 was very tight, very focused in.
Sure.
Not a huge cast of characters.
Yep.
And as they said in the advertising, this one definitely feels bigger.
Yeah.
But I think that's at the cost of that really tight and well-constructed story, which I think maybe Ryan just wanted to go for the jokes.
Yeah.
And look, that's who Deadpool is. But
yep.
Maybe Tim wanted to rein it in a bit.
Yeah, bigger isn't always better in this case.
No, I find that's true.
Absolutely. And, some bad test screenings as well. Some reports came out of that as well. It wasn't too positive. So It really dropped. And, after having watched the film, I really don't feel any differently after that. I was kind of hoping it might subvert expectations in some way, but...
Well, if anybody can do it, it's Ryan as Deadpool. But no, a week or two out from the release date, we start getting all these little clips, all this mini stuff, and all that sort of meta advertising that he does. Mm-hmm. Going on Korean game shows and singing music from the film and all this kind of stuff.
I missed all that too.
It's very impressive, but I think in this case, maybe it took away from focusing on making a solid story.
Yeah.
The story was fine.
Yeah.
But definitely not as good as the first one.
No, absolutely. But I think one reason to really watch this film is definitely Ryan as the character. He's fantastic as the character.
He is Deadpool. If he ended up with superpowers tomorrow, he could become Deadpool and nobody would blink.
Absolutely.
It would be great.
Josh Brolin was pretty cool in this film as well. I've probably got a bit of a man crush on Josh at the moment, to be honest, after the Avengers. He's always fantastic. He is really doing magnificent work. He always has, I think. He's always been a pretty solid actor.
Yep.
He's really trying here, but he's severely underused in this film and severely underwritten.
Especially when the marketing made it very much seem like a Cable versus Deadpool thing. We got the post-credit tease in the first one.
Right.
We're getting Cable, so I expected much more of Cable. Expected much more of his backstory.
Yep.
He was not crafted like he is in the comics, which is understandable because it's all very convoluted and complex, him being the son Scott Summers and Jean Grey.
Right.
But
See, that stuff would have been great, but it's really nowhere in the film, is it?
No. He seems to be just a guy who lost some family and wants revenge, has some cool future tech and
Yeah.
the will and the means to do it. He doesn't have any psychic powers, which was a big part of Cable's repertoire, but I mean, that was fun. Josh definitely extracted everything that he could out of what was there, yeah.
Yeah, I just wish I had known him a little bit more, like you
For
know
sure.
him from the comics, you know, because, you know, that's your thing. You've obviously read the comics and you know all this stuff.
Yep.
The only thing I really remember is that he hates dubstep.
Yeah. They definitely
You know?
made a point of that.
Absolutely, and it's a pretty good line, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And you're right when you say Josh definitely extracts all he can from the character out of that.
The line is just dubstep is for pussies.
Yeah, it's
But
awesome.
He growls it out, and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, okay, that's that dude.
Yeah, that's the dude.
Depinder was just used very much for laughs.
Yeah.
Which
It's a film built around jokes, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the jokes are first, everything else is kind of secondary.
Zazie Beetz was good, as well
Yeah.
as Domino. She was fun.
She was
Yeah.
fun, she brought a different kind of element to it. They really... So her superpower in the film was probably a bit more pronounced than it would be in the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, she left a truck to drive itself for a while there.
Yeah, and that was kind of pushing it a little bit too far for me.
It looks amazing, but it definitely is very far above her sort of luck powers in the comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she was fun. She was a good foil for Deadpool because she seems to have this same thing where she doesn't. Deadpool knows she can't die. She seems to think she can't die, so she's very confident. She's always calm and sassy about everything, which is a really good sort of foil. Because of course, Negasonic Teenage Warhead wasn't in it as much, so she kind of got that role.
Negasonic, was she the girl from the first film?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did she even have a line in this film?
A couple, but they were mostly foils for her partner Yukio. Like she just said, "You'll get used to Deadpool."
Yeah. And
She wasn't a speech. She used her superpower once.
that's it. I mean, she's just barely in it. And, you know, Colossus was in the first film. I remember
sure.
that.
Yep.
And so he gets plenty of moments in the film as well.
He
A lot
was
of fun
He
moments.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he kind of, in a weird way, had some character growth even because he relaxed a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think maybe Wade's influence kind of rubbed off on him a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better or worse.
Gillian Dennison was really disappointing in this film. And, I mean, I had come to really love Gillian in Hunt for the Wilder People. Mm-hmm. Great little film, you know, with Sam Neill. And he's really likable there. And there's definitely parallels between the characters in many ways. Like, you know, he's a young kid who doesn't really have any role models. He's got no family,
Looking for
etc.
that place to fit in.
Looking for a place to fit in, absolutely. And he's just so unlikable here, you know, but likable in Hunt for the Wilder People. And I think it's probably down to the writing. It was definitely jarring, yeah.
I think he was written that way.
Yeah.
I think he was meant to be annoying and difficult to enjoy being on the screen. But I think he was also supposed to be very relatable, being a victim of abuse and torture, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
You couldn't get past that that annoyance factor. And the performance seemed kind of wooden. I'm not sure if it was directed that way, but yes, it's definitely the weak link in the actors there.
I'm not sure David Litch was actually the best choice for director of this film. Like
What's he done before?
He's done Atomic Blonde.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's also done John Wick as
Oh
well.
yes, of course.
Right, so, you know, in that film, you know, great action, you know, some really
action,
great moments,
for
the
the action.
spectacle, for the action, right? But for the comedic sensibilities, he doesn't really display a lot here. Like, he doesn't use Julian to his comic sensibilities.
Sure.
In many ways. So it really, like, this is such a depressing film, man. That's the feeling I got from this film when I was watching it. It's just how depressing it was and how much fun the first film was.
With the way the story is set up, it's definitely a very dark tone.
Before the credits even sort of come up, it hits you with this really big moment, and then the film breaks the fourth wall, as it does many times in this film, to call attention to it.
Yep.
And it never really recovers from that. You've got Wade with his wisecracks, and you've got jokes in the film, but it doesn't bring the levity up.
No.
It's a dark tone.
There's definitely some tonal inconsistency. And as many jokes as you throw at the screen, you're right, that sense of levity, it never really comes into fruition. So I think from watching interviews with Tim and Ryan from the last film, those two guys are very much on the same level, same sensibility, with the comedy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that the change in director really had that effect.
Yeah. The film really rests on the relationship between not Pyro, Russell. Yeah, Russell.
Fire Fist.
Fire Fist. Yes, that's a very cool name, isn't it? Yeah, between Russell and Wade, it really rests on that, and in many ways, it takes its cues from Logan, and there's a lot of obvious comedic references to that. But I never bought their bond. I never bought their relationship, and the themes of family that this film is trying to push.
Yeah, well, it says straight up in the film that it's about family, which obviously everyone kind of goes, huh? And then when the payoff for that comes off at the end, it feels contrived. It doesn't feel natural.
Did you get annoyed by the fourth wall references after a while?
So I think, to give you an example, there's one point where they make reference to Basic Instinct.
Right.
A visual gag.
Yeah.
And the characters who aren't Deadpool, TJ Miller's character, mentions it to the camera. Yeah. So that we, the audience, are in it. Ryan's humour had always been more subtle than that before.
Right.
He would have just made a passing gag about that, oh, thanks Basic Instinct or something like that.
Right, just something really, really quick.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
Straight on to the next thing.
Move along.
Yeah, sure.
There were a few instances where the other characters or whatever took time out to explain the gag. Yeah. And that didn't work at all.
No, it didn't work. And like a lot of these fourth wall references are really designed for a comedic effect.
Sure.
Right. But after a while, there's a line, and it's not really a spoiler because it is in the trailer, but Wade has the line, that's just lazy writing.
Right, yes.
And then that line keeps coming up, and then instead of making me laugh, what it's actually doing is making me aware of how lazily written this film is.
It undermines itself. Can't go into it too much, but there's some things that happen after the credits that kind of really they're hilarious, but they really undermine the whole plot.
Is there an after credits sequence?
Is it after credits or before credits?
Because I didn't stay after credits. Because a friend of mine, Michael, he said, oh, by the way, there's no after credits sequence. And I'm like, oh, good, okay. So I don't have to wait 3-4 minutes.
It may have been during the credits or right before the credits.
So there is some scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And they're actually there's some of the funniest gags in the film, but they do actually undercut the film. So
right. Okay.
Maybe you've dodged a bullet there.
So Wade's kind of messed up in the film, right? After events that happened.
Well, he's been messed up for a while. Now he's.
But he's broken. Like he's obviously in a really, really bad place. So he seeks out the X-Men, right, and goes to the mansion, and Colossus is there. Colossus takes him in.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And
we get a cameo of the other X-Men.
Okay. Yeah.
Albeit tiny.
Just a little bit, which is cool. Okay. So he's really broken. He's really upset. Colossus takes him in. Colossus can see how upset he is.
For sure.
Right? Okay. The very next scene,
yes,
he says, you're ready to go on a mission.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure if there's a lot on the cutting room floor at this point, whether they edited a big sequence out.
It's possible.
But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it is possible because Colossus has always been trying to fulfill that mentor role for Wade. But in the first film, it was always from the angle of you're an embarrassment. You're more trouble than you're worth. Yeah. You need to reel it in. And he took no time for Wade to sort of prove that he could do that before they went on a mission. Yeah. Which, I hadn't thought about it at the time. Yeah. But now that you mention it, it is kind of strange.
It is a bit strange, isn't it? There are a few moments like that in the film where you're just kind of like, okay, right. I was a little bit disappointed in the action side of things. As like everything was kind of coherent, competent. The fight scenes were kind of cool, but I mean, after John Wick,
yes,
I was really expecting something special in the action sequences, and everything was just kind of okay, and to me, not that memorable.
For sure, the main thing I took away from the fight scenes was Josh Brolin is a beast. and he will break your arms
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah. The dude is pretty ripped in this film.
Yeah, if he's in every Marvel film from now on, it'll be fine with me.
Is he the only actor to do 2 characters from the Marvel Universe?
Chris Evans played Johnny Storm in those first round of I forget how many rounds.
Oh,
of
right,
Fantastic
okay,
Four
yeah.
films we've had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
But
Good
yeah.
point. And I guess Paul Bettany did Jarvis and Vision.
And Vision, they're the same character, but also not the same character. So I didn't have so much of a problem with the action scenes. I thought they're constructed pretty well. Most of the time, you could see what was happening. There was none of this, which is one of my pet hates.
Yeah. No crazy shaky cam or anything like that.
Was it John Wick? No. Was it supposed to be? No.
But I think about special moments
Sure.
in action sequences that stand out, that are memorable.
Right.
You know?
Like your truck flip in Terminator and coming off the bridge. And
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Those moments that just go wow and they're just embedded in your mind. Kevin Smith said this recently when he was talking about comic book movies, and you know, when it comes to comic book movies, I think Kevin's all over it personally.
He's
so I tend to
probably
listen
one
to
of the guys to listen to.
He's one of the guys to listen to. And he said there's really 3 things that go into a superhero movie that you really need. And the first one that he said was humor.
Sure.
Right. And I think this film does an okay job at that. I, again, don't think it's as good as the first, but I think we could say just about everything in this film. It's not as good as the first. But it does have the humor there. It is present. There are some laughs there. I probably laughed a couple of times. Good RoboCop reference in there.
But again, as we said earlier, they take the time to point that out. When I would have expected Ryan to just turn around and go, "Thanks, RoboCop,"
Yeah.
and move on.
Right. That is Deadpool right there, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Much tighter, much quicker. Move on. So the humor element
Yes.
somewhat works.
Yep.
Spectacle.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah,
It was
definitely. Spectacle, it somewhat works. You know, the action, it's competent, it's coherent.
Yeah.
It's okay shot. Yep.
Sounds good.
Where I think this film falls down is the heart element.
Yes.
So humor, spectacle, and heart. He says you really need those
Kevin's
3 things.
spot on, isn't he?
He is spot on with that. He's absolutely spot on with it. And you know, to quote a line from the film, I just don't think this film its heart's in the right place.
Nice. You're definitely right, and it's weird because they do go to that trouble of saying this is about family.
Yeah.
And if there's no heart in something about family, obviously that's not family. That's not going to work.
Yeah, really, when I think about it, it really has all the trademarks of a film that suffers from sequelitis.
Sequelitis, definitely.
Yeah,
Well, the first one was such a big surprise breakout,
yeah,
and it's always hard to top that.
yeah. But it's such a passion project too. It's lightning in a bottle. It really is. And when you think about how long it took Ryan to actually get this film made,
The things he went through.
it's really just an okay film. I don't think it's an awful watch. I think it's an okay time at the cinema. You know, you get some good action, you get a couple of laughs out of it. But if you're after anything as good as that first film,
Yes.
you're just not going to get it. It is definitely a sequelitis film. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars.
It is average at best, and at sometimes the comedy is a little bit jarring and doesn't quite land. Which
Yeah.
really shouldn't happen in a Deadpool film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, spot on, mate.
I think I'm going to give it slightly more just for the sheer joy of seeing comic book characters that I read in the 90s coming to life on the big screen. So I'll give it 3.
Yeah.
But if you want to fight for what's right, sometimes you have to fight dirty.
So guys, that's our review of Deadpool 2. What did you think of the film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle like us on it? Let us know in the comments below what you thought, and it'd be great to chat to you. And I'd like to thank my mate Adam for coming in on this review and
I'd
helping
like to
out.
thank me for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I really nailed it.
And you guys could probably thank him as well.
Oh, let's not go too far.
Don't go too
The
far.
unwashed public.
Will you come back?
For sure. It was great fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That'd be great. Until next time, guys, flick a like and subscribe if you dug this review. And don't forget, a weekend watching movies is a weekend well spent. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get this outro done.
What's my line?
Bye.
Ciao.